Thank you for joining me today. A friend recently asked me if I could change out the cover for her window seat with plain blue and then this stripe as the piping. This is going to be hand sewn shut rather than have a zip in, so let's get on with it. The first part of this is to measure the length, and that comes to 46.5 by 20.5, and then the depth here is 2¼ inches. I'm going to cut the selvage off, and then I'm going to measure 47.5 across for the top and the bottom, because by the time it's taken in ½ an inch either side, it will come down to 46.5. So I'm going to measure out the top, which was 20.5, add an inch and measure from the bottom there up here and cut. And I need 2 of these, so I'll measure up for the second one so I can cut them both out together. From my cut mark there, move that down and make another clip here. So I've got the top and the bottom. I'll cut those out first. Now I'm lucky because I actually can see where the threads are, so I can cut along the threads to the other side, which makes it a nice even top and bottom to this. The side was 2¼ so I'm going to cut 3 sides at 3¼ and again cut all the way across. Here's my second piece. I think 3 will do, and I'll cut those across here as well. I am going to just strip this up for the piping. I want it to look like it's rope going round rather than stripes going up and down, and I will just make them 1½ inches wide, as many strips as I can out of this. I am going to sew all of my lengths together like this and then put the next one on and looping them all together. I've got the cording, I'm going to just pop it in there like that, and under the foot, lengthen the stitch to the longest length and sew it into position. When I get to one of the joins, I'm just going to clip it there and then cut this back to about 1/4 inch from the seam. Open the seam out flat like that, finger press it, and then carry on stitching. I'm going to do that all the way down this length. I'm not going to worry about putting the proper seam on the piping when I've finished. Pop that under there. It looks like I've got it exactly where I need it, and to sew it into position. The fabrics that I'm using are quite fine, so I'm not going to worry if there's a seam close to one of the corners. Coming into the first corner, I'm just going to cut in at a 45-degree angle, sew in. There's my one more stitch, turn. It's exactly where I want it, I think. Find out in a minute. Yep, there we go. Pull that back, drop that down into place, and then carry on sewing with that exactly where it needs to be. I'm going to do this on both the top and the bottom of this seat cushion. Let me open this up a little ways. I think if I do that, that's about right. Cut that back. Fold this back on itself, fold that under there, and I'm going to sew towards there. Pull the fabric around the piping as tight as you can. That will work. Okay, the front border, there's my centre mark. Pop that under there like that, and here is my centre mark. I'm going to pop those 2 on top of each other like that and sew them together. Centre mark to centre mark. This is going along the front, so if it's not quite in the centre, it's not going to be a major thing. It's only so that this goes round each side. Pull it together. I'm holding it together like that and then just slightly pulling them out together. Oh, that's not even sewn in. I'm going to just sew across here and make sure that's in before I do anything. I must have lost the underthread. That sometimes happens. Okay, so I'm coming into the corner. I'm going to just pull that out for now. This would be the wrong side. I'm going to line those up like that and seam across here. Forward and reverse, and forward and reverse to finish. Finger press that open like that so it's nice and flat. Pop this back under here and sew to the corner. When I get to the corner, I'm just going to cut in at a 45-degree angle. Sew it to the corner. finish with the needle down, foot up, twist it into place, and I'm going to just bring that back slightly. Make sure my seam is wide open. It had closed up. And sew it together to the top, and then again cut in like that. Needle down, foot up, twist into position to the centre back. I've got plenty of room for a seam, forward and back. Just sewn from here across to the front, but when I look at that, that's still got a little bit of a problem, so I'm going to pop that back, push that right the way back into there, under here, and then cut that corner off slightly, just sew all the way across. See how well that is. Oh yeah, nice and tight. I have the same problem on this one. I'm going to go back a little way here, go all the way across, and see how well that does. The piping is quite soft and the fabric is very thin. Not necessarily a good combination. I'm going to come in as far as I can. It's still like it, so I'm going to have to go back and do across that corner. Pull all your fabric into the centre like that, so it's nice and tight. Make sure your foot's up, that'll be really good. And then just come in really close. And there, it's a lot better. I think I'm going to have to do that on all of the corners when I get them in. Now I'm going to put the sides in, that's the short side. Fold that over onto the corner and slide the next corner into it like that, so that the two corners are parallel. I'm going to put a pin in there. I know it's upside down because I'm going to be sewing it from that side. Here, it's a little ways in from there, that's the corner. Pop that corner on there, on the piping, that's the corner I'm talking about. I'm going to put another one there for now. I'm going to put the centre to the centre here, which is there, and I'm going to put another pin there to make sure that this is all even. And bring this in a good 6 inches back from there. Pop that underneath, raw sides together, forward and back. Remove the pin, bring it all the way down. I'm going to pull both fabrics against each other and into that corner. Little nick, not too far. Come in to that corner there, needle down, foot up, twist everything into place, straighten it to the next corner, put the border underneath, foot down, and then pull it to the corner like that. Find the centre, line everything up, and sew. Just make sure your raw edges are together. There's my corner. I'm going to hold that for a little bit longer. Pull everything out. Make sure all your raw sides are together. As I come into the corner, I'm going to remove that. Straighten my border out. Just a little clip, not too far. Make sure your seam is open. Come into the corner, keeping your border straight. Needle down, foot up. Straighten the front border out. Find the centre, pull those two together midway, foot down, pull slightly so that everything runs smoothly together and into place. The centre, pull out, raw edges together, and sew. I'm going to remove my pin because I don't need that there anymore. Lay that down. Pull everything out to the end so it's even. Hold them together and then pull against each other. This way, if you've got a soft piping cord, you can stretch it and it goes in a little bit easier. And again to the end, hold everything together, pull slightly, and sew. So I have my corner here. I'm going to run out of border. I'm going to line up my border like that and sew it in just like I did on the other side. A nice wide seam will work. Forward and back to start off with, forward and back to finish off with. I've just popped that back under there. I'm going to come to the corner here. And just as I did on the first side, I'm going to cut in. Needle down, foot up, twist into place. Make sure that the seam is wide open, so it's nice and flat. Line up the raw edges and sew into position. The top, I need to just cut that in a little bit. Needle down, foot up, twist into place. This is the back. push that down. I'm going to sew about 6 inches in from this side, just as I started on the other side, just a little bit of a overlap there. Back, forward and finish. Just like I had on the other side, I'm going to pop this in to the corner, fold the corners over, pin, and the same on this bottom corner where the seam is, corner to corner of the piping. So there's the piping there, perfect. And now put a pin in there just to hold it. Come back a little ways, slide that underneath. Now it's in the corner, I can pull that out. Straighten that out to the corner, pull slightly and sew into place. Because this is the second side, but technically the first. I don't need to do forward and back. Pull it to there, to the corner, needle down, foot up, twist, and then down the second side. Down to the corner where the side seam is. Make sure it's even and pull slightly. There's the pin, remove it, pull that into the corner. Make sure the seam is open. So across the seam, cut. Keep the border straight as you come in. Needle down, foot up. Twist everything back into position. It's a bit odd. It's the first side, but it's the second side to be sewn all the way around. Find the centre where you started sewing, pull it out, pull the centre like that, and then sew into place. A little bit of tautness helps it go in nicely. That's where I started. I'm just going to pull it slightly and go about an inch the other side of that stitch. Here is the back. I don't actually have to have that in the centre, so I'm going to just roll it slightly across, I think to about there, and cut that off like that. Pull that into the centre and that across. Maybe I've got too much still. Oh, I think I'll be okay. Pinch those together and I'm going to put a pin where I need to put the seam, like that. I'm going to line up where the needle is. It's a good inch, so I'm going to pull it over just a wee tad, pop that down. I'm going to straighten this up slightly because it's a little bit wonky. So that to there along the inch mark. Forward, back, and all the way across to the other side. And then forward and back again. Now this is important because it goes along the top where I'm going to be hand sewing it in. Pull that and it fits nicely. I'm going to put that back under here to about where I stopped sewing along the back. Just a little bit closer there. Open the seam up, pull that slightly tight and sew into position. Make sure that's still flat. Sew it. Pull to where I started sewing here, like that. Straighten everything up. Straighten that up. A little bit of tautness and to the end. And about an inch over where I started. There we go. I think that'll work. I've decided to put the whole thing back in and cinch it a little bit closer. But instead of doing it from the top down, I'm actually going to do it from the border so it's tighter than it is. This is not an uncommon problem when you've got soft piping. It's already in. I'm just going to pull it slightly this way and it should go in nicely. And I'll do this all the way around. Unfortunately with this sewing machine I can't move the needle over. Other two sewing machines I've been using, I was able to do that and it makes a big difference, makes life a lot easier. It's like a tram line around both sides and that should have cinched all of this in really nicely. Let's have a look. Perfect. That makes sure that all of the corners are in too, so I didn't have to go back and do each set of corners separately. I'm going to have a little bit of an iron, see if I can get some of that out. It creased up as I was going. It's quite a light fabric. I'm going to put the old seat cushion in and then sew it shut. Pull the top down like that and pull the side up, and I am going to pin it into position like this. Now I've started in the middle-ish and it looks like I can bring this in slightly. Bring that up and in, and then that up and in, so it looks nice and even. So my centre can move. I think I'll probably start at the other end as well. If it's a long piece like this, I do put an initial pin in where I think the centre's going to be and then work each end into it. Oh, it's almost there. This end's quite tight, so I'll still pull it up and into place and pin it and then work towards the centre. It should even out as I get there. I'm going to be doing a slip stitch or a ladder stitch, whichever you call it. So I'm going to go back here about 1/4 of an inch, in through the piping here, as straight as I can along the stitch line. Then straight opposite and in through the fold line that I ironed and across. Then opposite through the piping, 1/4 of an inch, opposite through the fold in the fabric, about 1/4 of an inch, and then up along the piping. You only want about 1/4 of an inch because you don't want it to look too untidy, and pull it in tight like that. You also only want to go in one side of the piping because you don't want your stitching to show on the other side. I don't think anybody would notice, but it's just bad practice. If you forget which side you've gone on, hold your thread up and then work on. Every 3 or 4 stitches I usually pull it tight, so I know that that's going to be even to there. Use my thumb and finger to hold everything where I want it, and then put the next set in, and I'm going to work all the way to the other side. I also don't want it to look untidy just in case it gets flipped over and this ends up being on the front. Nobody will be the wiser. I do have a feeling that this fabric is going to pick up all the dust there is. Thank you for joining me with this project. I think it's actually turned out okay. It looks fresh with the stripe on and the plain top. I am going to get some tape and clear that up. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, see you later. Take care. Ciao.